Last week I responded to an email I got from a gal that was concerned about the trees at Biathlon, and it was a repeat conversation. It was a repeat request of this, and I generally would call Dick in those situations, but that wasn't an option this time. So I did give Mike a call, and our conversation expanded beyond just trees. It started talking about the biathlon and other issues. I had also had a conversation with Rob Rosser, who brought up several concerns, and I kept repeating to Rob, as I listened to his concerns, I was referring him. I said, look, and he said he had tried to call the chairman, and I said, well, I asked him, well, do you have a cell phone number? He said, yes. I said, well, just try him again. And I said, look, and I told him several times, just set up a meeting. Just set up a meeting. And I guess I was a little naive to assume that meeting would be at a work session, because apparently a meeting was set up, and it's going to be tomorrow morning, which I can't make. And I found out about this meeting. I didn't get a phone call, I didn't get an email, I didn't get a text. I had just a chance encounter with a person that told me that this meeting was set up, who was going to be there, and it was going to be Wednesday morning. You guys, this kind of meeting is tailor-made for a work session.
Mm-hmm.
This gives me as a commissioner the opportunity that I need to ask the questions that I need answered, so I can educate myself, and so I can make a good decision. And so not having this meeting at a work session hamstrings my ability to be a good commissioner.
Correct.
It also limits the folks, it denies the folks who would like to participate in the work session the opportunity, because there are other folks that are interested. I mean, I don't know who has asked more questions about the biathlon than Mr. Lamont, and he should have an opportunity to sit in there, and I think it would be very appropriate for him to be there. So after I found out that there was a chance meeting, the first thing I did was give Forrest a call. I said, hey, I need an opportunity to sit down and, please put this on a work session. And I explained why. I didn't beg. I don't think I should have to beg. The 12 years that I've been doing this, I've never run into such a stumbling block, And normally the conversation goes pretty well, and you're able to work well together. But we're just not.
No,
we're just not. And so I'm appealing to the commission, because my ability, I'm as a commissioner is being affected. I'm being hamstrung. And so when this eventually comes around, and this biathlon, and there are a lot of issues with it. And the conversations I had and the questions I had, eventually I gave Heather a call, right? And Heather's department is working on the MOU. I asked her, how familiar are you with the grant process? And she says, no. Well, I hope that she's at the meeting more. I hope that she has the opportunity to get her questions answered, because her department is writing the MOU.
correct.
I gave Jason a call, because and he was kind enough to spend some time with me, and he helped me understand some of the other issues that are going on with Mr. Rosser. And it just raised a lot of valid questions that I've got that I deserve the opportunity to ask. And I think that's more than fair. In fact, it's my duty and it's my responsibility. So I think it's the responsibility of the commission to allow me that right, to allow me that opportunity. Okay? So I would like to hear from each commissioner on how the heck we're going to resolve this.
Mr. Chairman.
Please, Commissioner Henry.
I'd start, Matt, by saying you will be involved in it. I would say the meeting that Mike has tomorrow is the preliminary first meeting about an MOU with the biathlon. I think we've wanted one of those for some time. Mike is going to meet with him and start that conversation, get a document, and then we're going to have the ability to talk about it. That's why the way I view that meeting with Mike. And I don't know, we can ask John and Forrest if that's any different. But that is my idea, that Mike would meet with him. They would get a whole bunch of stuff done. We don't need to be in on every single thing that's in there.
Why not?
But ultimately, we will have to vote on it, and then we'll have the whole MOU. And it's already been talked about. We'll have the ability then to ask questions about it. That was my idea.
You know, honestly, Bob, there's a perception out there, perception I think that's growing in the county, that two people, Forrest and John, are basically making decisions and running the county. Right?
Yep.
And so I really have a problem when a commissioner asks, makes a simple, kind request, that it be put on the work session, and then who is it? Did Forrest decide? No, I don't think that's appropriate. It wasn't like the work session was packed full. We didn't even have one today, right? And so, the chairman's responsibility, is to run the meeting and set the agenda, right, and break a tie vote. But it needs to be considered very seriously, and honestly, you need to have a damn good excuse when the commissioner asks that it be on the agenda, why it's not.
Yep.
Because, we had our issues with CPI, and I made a request then, and Forrest said he forgot, and then he said, later he said, it's just water under the bridge. Well, you know what, we should have spoken with them months ago, and we failed to do that. And so Rob, tomorrow, when I called Forrest Sunday night, he went on to say that basically it's detailed, it's getting kind of boring. Look, I want to participate. I've got a lot of questions that are appropriate and need answered. And so it should have happened today, Rob.
Yep.
So who made the decision then to say, you know what? No, Matt, you won't have that opportunity. Because that's wrong.
Well, in my opinion, it was Mike set up the meeting with Rob Rossler, and he was informing us that he couldn't do it.
Forgive me for this, though. But Mike is a very good manager of Road and Bridge, okay? But
He's not a commissioner.
he works for the commission, and my guess is that if the chairman were to call and said, you know what, we're going to move that to Tuesday afternoon, it's going to be part of the work session. My guess is it would have been part of the work session.
Yep.
Who set up the meeting? I don't know. And honestly, Ron, I was thought about looking into it, but you know what? It doesn't matter because we are the commission. We are the 5 commissioners. And so we have the ability to make it happen or not. But my voice has been squelched. And that, and I think by Forrest. And I think that's very inappropriate.
Well, if you wanted, I think Steve said he was going to be at the meeting tomorrow.
Yes,
If
sir.
you're
I know.
interested,
I
go to the
can't-
meeting.
I can't make it in the morning. That is what the work sessions are for. And Rob, you've been around long enough. Do you remember that we used to meet if we were, busy? We met Tuesdays and Thursdays. We met twice a week, right? Remember that? I think you do. But We didn't even have a work session today. I think we had time.
Damn sure did.
Well, in my opinion, it was premature. We don't have anything to talk about.
I can make a list. I can make a laundry list of things to talk about. I can rattle them off.
We're still going to be able to talk about one. Or
Hey, John, I'm sorry, John, please.
Well, that's a good lead-in for me. Because you make that laundry list
I got one
and
too.
then, and say, okay, I'd like to have a workshop, and these are all the things on the list that I want discussed at that workshop. And I'm saying that honestly, not defensively. I'm saying that's what's needed. Because if you make that list, maybe one item on that whole list is what my understanding is that Mr. Hager wants to talk about tomorrow. This is Mr. Hager's meeting. I'm going to ask him to come up and tell us what his belief of the meeting is. Because as the Parks Director, interim Parks Director, he's, my understanding, he's trying to sort out, okay, what should just be in this MOU? There's a lot of other issues going on out there. That's the laundry list you're talking about. And that is not what's going to be discussed tomorrow, was my understanding. What's going to be discussed is Mr. Hager trying to sort out exactly if we're going to have an operational MOU in the future, who is going to be responsible for what? And this goes all the way back to a year ago that Steve, you and I had discussions on that list, is trying to sort out how much is the biathlon, what is the biathlon's responsibility, what is the county's responsibility, and what are the joint responsibilities. And that has never been sorted out. And that MOU was supposed to be written and developed months and months ago. As a matter of fact, there was a commitment that it was to be provided, at least in draft form, in June.
So why wasn't it?
Pardon me?
So why wasn't it?
That's a good point. Because we never did receive it. And another thing I want to clarify here is, Heather, I don't believe you're writing the MOU. And I don't believe that is really what the job of county attorney or deputy attorney is. Your job is to make sure that the MOU meets all the legal requirements and protects the county. But as far as writing the MOU and listing the things that should be in the MOU and who's responsible for it, that should fall on the department head to get that put together.
Correct.
So I think there's a whole misconception here of what's going on here. That meeting tomorrow is only that, and should be only that narrow. And I believe if any of us start getting off, or anybody else there tomorrow, and trying to get off key as far as, well, I want to know about this and I want to know about that. That is not what your meeting is about. And maybe that should be on your list, and that should be an open discussion of I would support. So there's two things going on here. So that's all I have to say. That's about as brief as I can get.